Did it come as a surprise?
It did in the moment, but then as I look back, like...
So what were some of these kind of
Yes.
clues along the way?
Okay. So I didn't realize they were clues until I was explaining how the like last few weeks went. And then I was like, okay, maybe. So we got moved from Raw to SmackDown in the switch ups. So it wasn't like a draft, but people were getting moved around, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, you always kind of have to like take both sides. Everything that happens can feel like it's a bad thing. And then I just won't survive that way. So then I always have to like try and make it positive, you know? So we got moved from Raw to SmackDown, and originally you're like, oh man, like Raw just got moved to Netflix. That's really big. And now they're like taking us off of it. Is that bad? But then, you know, people are like, well, there's more time on SmackDown. Like we want more storylines for you guys. Cool. I'm like, okay, cool. That's believable. I love that. So we get to SmackDown. There's a big pay-per-view coming up. So like the stories are all kind of already happening for the pay-per-view for the next like 2 weeks. So we're like, okay, we're not doing anything yet. Again, makes sense. You know what I mean? That's how things happen. That totally makes sense. So then the pay-per-view passes. Now it's another month or so. We're pitching stuff, you know, we're pitching all the angles, sending storylines in, trying to get in. We're trying to fit into what's all like already happening, trying to pitch off the wall stuff that could be cool and different, whatever. So as it gets closer, now we're getting to Mania season. So now it's like a month before WrestleMania. So we're like, okay, I know that if something that we're doing isn't in WrestleMania, anything can happen because everything has to lead up to that, you know, and times get changed and stories get, you know, need more time or get changed. So we were supposed to be leading to this 6-woman tag with like me, Lacey, and Zelina against Chelsea, Piper, and Alba. And so we're like, okay, cool. Like it'll be like some tag stuff, some singles stuff, you know, this will be great. They start having their like singles matches, which is supposed to lead to a tag, which is supposed to lead to this, whatever. Things keep changing where it just keeps getting pushed. So like they had a singles, the next week was supposed to be the 6-woman. Then it didn't happen. And we were like, oh, well, will there be a backstage? But then it didn't happen. And like Zelina had something and we're like, oh, are we going to be there with her? And they were like, no, we're just going to do this first. And then it was like the week of WrestleMania and it was supposed to happen. And then like the day before it got pushed. And we were like, okay, again, it's WrestleMania weekend. Of course, something more important having to do with the show happened. Not very weird. Move on. Now we're post WrestleMania, and there was a charity event that I do often with someone who has worked through like with NXT, with WWE. It wasn't a WWE event, but it was like they would let us go there. We weren't signing anything. It was just like for a good cause. I've done it for years. And one of the NXT girls that was invited had messaged me and said something to the effect of, they said that I can't do it and they'll like let me know why soon. And I was like, sounds weird, but like people are weird. Who knows? You know, my boyfriend says, I wonder if it's because they're going to do releases. And I was like, but that wouldn't really make sense because it's not a WWE event. So they wouldn't care. It wasn't like being posted anywhere. It was just, you know, for a good cause. And I'm like, that's weird. Then the person doing the charity event messaged me and said, another wrestler was like, oh, I wonder if releases are happening. And I'm like, okay, 2 people is weird, you know? Still, I wasn't like, I actually made a joke to my boyfriend when he said it. I was like, oh, if I get released, will you still love me? You know how girls are crazy. And he was like, yes, of course. But I only made that joke because I didn't actually think that it was happening, you know? Yeah. Then another joke is if you get a 203 number, because it's a Connecticut area code, like you're in trouble. We didn't travel that week, another sign. But I was like, okay, we don't have a story yet, no big deal. I'm working out in my garage and I get a phone call and it's not a 203 number. So I ignore it because I'm working out. Then it calls again. And you know how sometimes it's like, might be this person? Yeah. It called a second time and I was like, oh, okay. And I look and it said, might be so-and-so. And I was like, oh no. I knew right away. And I picked up the phone and I was like, hello. And then I was like, oh, this is it. And like, I've thought about that moment so many times that when it happened, it was just like, I felt like I wasn't in my body. Like I was on the phone and answering. And then when I hung up, I was like, I feel like I should have said more or like asked more questions. And I think I was just like, okay, bye. Like it's such a weird feeling. You know what I mean? So at the moment I was like, I had no idea. And then as I retell the story, I'm like, I was trying not to be like negative and nervous, but as I say it, I'm like, okay, these were probably signs. You know what I mean?